Moments ago, something happened that no one in the WNBA world was prepared for. Not the fans, not the analysts, not even insiders at WNBA. Because when Sophie Cunningham and Caitlin Clark made this unexpected move, it didn't just raise eyebrows. It sent shockwaves across women's basketball. For weeks, rumors were building, whispers spreading quietly behind the scenes, but no one believed it would actually happen. And yet, here we are. It's an announcement so bold, so surprising that even at ESPN couldn't react fast enough. But what's even more shocking is why they did it. Because this isn't just a career move, it's a statement. A message to the entire league. And when the full story started coming out, fans realized this could change everything we thought we knew about the future of the WNBA. What really happened behind the scenes will leave you stunned. It all started like any normal day in the WNBA offseason. No major headlines, no breaking alerts. It's just the usual flow of updates, training clips, and fan discussions about the upcoming season. But beneath that calm surface, something was building. Very quietly, very strategically, because behind closed doors, conversations were happening. Not public meetings, not official announcements, just small, controlled discussions between key figures, agents, team staff, and most importantly, players themselves. And at the center of it all were two names that have been dominating WNBA news and women's basketball conversations for months: Sophie Cunningham and Caitlin Clark. On the surface, their journeys couldn't be more different. Sophie Cunningham, known for her toughness, her physical style, her fearless attitude on the court. A player who thrives in high-pressure moments, never backing down, always bringing intensity. And then there's Caitlin Clark, a generational talent, a player who has completely transformed the way fans view scoring in women's basketball. Deep threes, insane court vision, and a level of confidence that has made her one of the most talked-about players in the entire WNBA. But what happens when two players like that decide to make a move at the same time? It's where things get interesting, because just days before the announcement, small clues started appearing online. Fans noticed subtle changes. Interviews where answers felt slightly different. Body language that hinted something bigger was coming. No one could fully explain it, but everyone felt it, and then it happened. A single post, simple, direct, but powerful enough to change everything. Within seconds, it spread across every major platform. At WNBA pages reposted it. At ESPN, analysts jumped in. Fans flooded the comments trying to figure out what it meant, because this wasn't just a normal update, it was a signal. And once people started connecting the dots, the realization hit hard. This was coordinated. Sophie Cunningham and Caitlin Clark weren't just making individual decisions, they were making a statement. But what kind of statement? That's the question that instantly divided the basketball world. Some believed it was about taking ownership of their careers in a way that hasn't been seen before in the WNBA. Others thought it was about petition positioning themselves in a way that could shake up the balance of power in the league. But then, a new theory emerged, and this one changed everything. What if this wasn't just about them? What if this move was about the future of women's basketball itself? No one saw that coming, because suddenly the conversation shifted from what did they do to why did they do it? And the deeper people looked, the more complicated the story became. Reports started surfacing. Insiders hinting at long-term planning. Conversations about branding, influence, and the growing power of players in the WNBA. Because make no mistake, this wasn't random. This was calculated. Every detail, every timing, every word. And then more information started leaking. Details. That made the situation even more intense. Because according to multiple sources, this move had been in the works for weeks, maybe even months. Discussions happening behind the scenes while the public remained completely unaware. And the most shocking part? Very few people knew, not even some team officials. That's how controlled it was. But what happened next shocked everyone, because just when people thought they understood the situation, a second update dropped, and this one changed everything again. The second update didn't just add to the story, completely flipped it. What fans thought was a bold but understandable career decision suddenly turned into something far more complex, because this time wasn't just a post, it was a statement, and every single word mattered. When Sophie Cunningham finally spoke, there was no hesitation, no vague answers, no safe responses. She looked directly at the camera and delivered a message that instantly sent shockwaves through the WNBA community. This is bigger than basketball. That one line changed everything, because now the move wasn't just about contracts, teams, or playing time. It was about something deeper, something that went beyond the court, and fans could feel it. Social media exploded. Comments flooded in from every direction. Some were excited, others were confused, and many were trying to understand what this really meant for the future of women's basketball. But before anyone could fully process Sophie's statement, Caitlin Clark stepped in. And what she said next? No one was ready for it. Sometimes you have to take risks, even when people don't understand them. Silence, because those words carried weight. Real weight. This wasn't just a coordinated move anymore. This was a shared vision, a mindset that both players clearly believed in, and suddenly, everything started to make sense. Because when you looked at their careers, their impact, their influence, it became clear that this wasn't about one moment. It was about the long game. But what happened next shocked everyone, because insiders began revealing details that had never been discussed publicly before. Conversations about player freedom, about creating opportunities beyond traditional team structures, about building something that could reshape how players approach their careers in the WNBA. And that's when the narrative truly shifted, because now it wasn't just news, this was a movement. But movements don't happen without resistance. And sure enough, it came. Critics started speaking out, analysts questioning the timing, debates breaking out across at ESPN panels. Some believed it was too risky. Others argued it could disrupt the balance of the league. But through all the noise, one thing remained clear: Sophie Cunningham and Caitlin Clark weren't backing down. And that's what made this story even more powerful. Because in a league where every move is analyzed, every decision questioned, they chose to take control, fully, confidently, and without apology. But what happened next? No one could have predicted. Because the reaction from inside the WNBA was even bigger than anyone expected. Inside the WNBA, the reaction was immediate and intense. Players, coaches, and executives all had something to say, but no one quite knew how to say it, because this wasn't just another headline. This was something different, something that challenged the way things had always been done. In locker rooms, conversations started quietly. Teammates discussing the move, coaches trying to understand the long-term impact, front offices analyzing what this could mean for future decisions, and at the center of it all was one question: what happens next? Because when players like Sophie Cunningham and Caitlin Clark make a move like this, it doesn't just affect them, it affects everyone. And that's exactly what started happening. Reports began surfacing that other players were paying close attention, watching carefully, learning from what was unfolding, because whether people agreed with the decision or not, they couldn't ignore it. And that's when things took another unexpected turn. Because instead of slowing down, the momentum grew. Fans rallied behind the move. Social media campaigns started trending. Support poured in from current and former players. And suddenly, what started as a shocking announcement turned into something much bigger. A shift, a new way of thinking about careers in the WNBA. But what happened next shocked everyone. Because as the dust began to settle, the true impact of the move started to reveal itself, and it was bigger than anyone imagined. By the time the full story came together, it was clear this wasn't just a moment. It was a turning point for Sophie Cunningham, for Caitlin Clark, and for the entire WNBA. Because what they didn't just create headlines, it created possibilities. New conversations started happening, not just about teams or performance, but about power, about control, about what players could achieve when they made bold decisions. And the most surprising part? It worked. The attention, the impact, the message. Everything landed exactly the way they intended, but more importantly, it inspired others. Because sometimes all it takes is one move to change everything. And that's exactly what this was. A moment that no one expected, a decision that no one saw coming, a story that will be remembered for years. Because in the end, this wasn't just about basketball. It was about rewriting the rules. If this unbelievable story shocked you, make sure you don't miss what happens next in the WNBA. Because right now, things are changing faster than ever. And moments like this don't come often. Hit that like button if you want more breaking WNBA news and viral stories just like this. Drop a comment below and tell me, was this the right move by Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham? Or is this too risky for the future of women's basketball? And most importantly, subscribe right now and turn on notifications so you never miss the next huge announcement. Trust me, if you thought this was crazy, what's coming next might be even bigger.